You ever see someone get everything they deserve and still somehow walk out like they swallowed a lemon? Because that's exactly what happened the day Shirley Cooper stood in court pale as a ghost listening to the judge read her sentence. 11 years she ran that HOA like it was her private kingdom, made people bow, made rules up as she went, like she'd never have to answer for any of it. And there I was, sitting in the back row, not smiling, not gloating, just watching. You ever had someone offer to buy your lake for $50, 50, for something you bled for? She thought I'd be scared, thought power was enough. She never guessed I knew the system maybe better than she did. I'll tell you this up front, the system, if you use it right, forgives nobody, not even the Queen of Pinewood Ridge. And honestly, if you've ever faced someone untouchable, someone who thought they could bend the world to their will, stick around. This is for you. It started with a lake, ended in a courtroom. In between. Well, that's the part that still sticks with me. The smell of pine needles after rain. The way morning mist drifts off water like the earth's letting out a sigh. I'd stand on that rickety dock water so still, it looked like glass, the whole place ringed by trees standing guard. 12 acres peace you could feel in your bones. $500,000, 14 years of chasing a promise I'd made at a funeral. Let me back up. You ever buy something you don't need just because someone you loved once dreamed of it? That's what this was. My old man, he used to take me fishing out by Charlotte, never caught a damn thing. But holding that rod, he stood a little taller, smiled more than he ever did behind the counter at the dry cleaners he and my mom ran. One morning, waiting on fish that never bit, he told me, "Someday I'll have a lake just big enough to sit by, grow some beans, cook soup in the evening." He said it like a wish, not a plan. I was 12. Told him, "Let's get two." We went home empty-handed, but, not really empty. He never got that lake. Tuesday afternoon, I was 28, got the call. A truck ran a red light. Both my parents were gone just like that. They were headed to look at a property with a pond. The sky poured rain at the funeral like even the weather was tired. Standing between their caskets, I promised I'd find that lake. Finish what they started. Took me 14 years. When I finally sold my startup cybersecurity, nothing flashy, I cleared a little over $4 million. Suddenly, searching for lakes didn't seem crazy. I looked everywhere. Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia. Nothing clicked until I saw Willow Lake, owned by an old couple, the Whitmores, moving to Florida. 70 years in their family. Eleanor Whitmore looked at me with tired eyes and said she was glad someone who actually wanted it would get it. I paid every penny they asked. Didn't bargain. The deed went back to 52. I signed, and for the first time since my parents died, I felt like I'd kept my word. I had plans. Small cabin facing Sunrise Garden down the slope, tomatoes and cucumbers, maybe even water spinach. My dad could never keep that stuff alive, not even in a pot on our apartment balcony. I'd hang a wooden sign with his name, "Open the lake," for kids who'd never seen real water, show them how to fish. Maybe they'd get a little of what he gave me, the sense that peace isn't given, you build it. Driving back through Pinewood Ridge, I remember the neat lawns, mailboxes all matching, and that big HOA sign out front like it was a border checkpoint. Saw a woman, gray hair, arms crossed, staring at my car like I was a stray. I smiled, nodded like an idiot. She just watched me go. Should have known then. But I was busy dreaming, not worrying. Here's the thing. This story isn't just a happy guy with a lake and a garden. If it was, you wouldn't be here. Life never lets you get comfortable, not with a Karen standing guard looking for reasons to remind you who's boss. 3 days after I signed the papers, the first letter came. White envelope, green HOA logo. Official notice in red. Inside, I was invited to meet the HOA president about property usage. No option to decline. Just a time, a place, a name, Shirley Cooper. I told myself probably just neighborly stuff. Yeah, right. You ever dealt with an HOA? They only have power over what's in their covenant. Willow Lake, not in it, law's clear. But people do what they want with clear. Letter felt more like a summons than an invitation. Thursday. Clubhouse. Receptionist sends me to a conference room. 3 folks sitting at the table, Shirley at the head, thin lips, sharp eyes. To her left, a heavy-set guy wouldn't look at me. Right, a young woman scribbling notes. They'd set it up so I was facing all 3 at once. Shirley didn't waste time. "Mr. Davis, you recently purchased Willow Lake." Not a question. She slid over a folder, quiet hours, building rules, and then at the bottom, road usage fee for Lakeview Drive. $500 a month payable annually, $6,000 up front, to drive to my own land. I asked what gave them the right. Shirley's face didn't move. Private road. You want it, you pay. She shut the folder. Submit your building plans too. We have standards. I wanted to yell, wanted documents, wanted to fight, but something told me, wait, learn the ground. So I asked for paperwork on road ownership. The big guy, later I'd know him as Scott Anderson, shifted but said nothing. Shirley smiled cold as winter. We don't owe outsiders explanations. You'll get our terms. Up to you. Walked out feeling pressure behind my eyes. My dad would have told me stay calm, think. But my dad never met Shirley Cooper. Was she bluffing? Was the road really private? I didn't know. I just knew this wasn't the fight I'd signed up for. As I left, saw an older man outside, sharp eyes, gave a little nod. Not friendly, not mean, like he knew something I didn't. And I was starting to feel like I'd bought into more than just a lake. 2 weeks later, another letter, thicker this time. Inside an invoice, $6,000 for road use, $2,500 environmental assessment, $10,000 development registration, $18,500 just to step onto my land. My first instinct, tell Shirley exactly where she could put that invoice. But I needed to know what I was fighting, so I asked for documentation, every deed, every provision in writing. Then I hit the county records office. Dusty fluorescent lights buzzing. Clerk sent me to Barbara, who disappeared into the back. Came out with a folder older than I was. 1958 document, Lakeview Drive, public right-of-way easement runs with the land. Permanent. The HOA couldn't charge me a dime. I got a certified copy and mailed it to them, polite but firm. No, I won't be paying. Here's proof. Respond in 14 days. 5 days later, another letter. They ignored the easement. Demanded money. Threatened to block the road. I stared at the letter, felt something cold settle in. This wasn't confusion. This was them saying, we decide what's real here. 3 days later, I'm driving past the lake. There's a truck, 2 guys unloading fence posts, marking up the road. Didn't look at me. Just kept working. Shirley wasn't waiting for my move. She was already ahead. You ever have proof in your hands and someone just looks right through it? Acts like your truth is invisible. That's what I was up against, a person who believed reality bent to her will. Then Ed Thompson called, voice slow, careful the way folks sound when they mean business. Said he'd heard about my situation, wanted to talk. I wasn't in the mood, but there was weight in his tone, so I went. He'd practiced real estate law 35 years, retired here, thinking it'd be quiet. Shirley made sure it wasn't. He asked if it struck me odd the Whitmores sold after 70 years below market value and just disappeared. Never thought about it. I called Eleanor Whitmore. She told me about the fines, the harassment, the offers from a Kyle Cooper. Shirley's son. Same tactics, same goal, break you down till you sell. When her husband's health gave out, they gave in. Not to the Coopers, but to anyone else. Me. I searched Kyle's name. He ran a development company, dreamed of building a resort around Pinewood Lake. The plans used my lake. Shirley and her son had been scheming for years, waiting for a weak link. I wasn't what they expected. Then the gate went up. Heavy padlock sign, private road. HOA residents only. I called Shirley. She acted calm, said there were ambiguities in the old documents and I should consider if this was the hill I wanted to die on. Said the HOA had resources, patience, and a long memory. I hung up, staring at that gate, knowing she'd done this before. Expected to win again. Then came the smear campaign, anonymous posts online hinting at shady background digging at my family. The comments were worse. But it wasn't about me anymore. They dragged my parents' names through the mud. Folks who never cheated, never took shortcuts. People who couldn't even defend themselves. That night I sat in the dark looking at my dad's photo by a pond and decided enough was enough. I started gathering every letter, every post, every voicemail. Organized everything into a folder labeled evidence. It wasn't about revenge, revenge burns out. This was about the truth. Ed looked over my case, said evidence is one thing. Using it is another. The law's about details. Get a lawyer. I didn't want to. Felt like failure. But I hired Evelyn Price, tough as nails, 20 years in property law. She told me the truth, having a case isn't the same as winning one. H.O. As fight dirty, stall, drain your money. Was I ready for that? I said yes, but really, whoever is. She went after them on all fronts. Illegal barrier, trespass, defamation, interference. County Sheriff, Civil Court, Real Estate Commission, Attorney General. I asked if that was too much. She said it was pressure, make them scramble, make them pay attention. But if we lost, it'd be expensive fast. First win sheriff's deputy at the gate, document in hand, telling Shirley it had to come down. But then her lawyers, a big firm, Morrison and Keller, filed for an injunction, claimed a 1963 memo invalidated the easement, accused me of harassment. I stared at the email, saw her watching as I drove past. She was smiling, but the judge wasn't buying it. Ruled the easement stood, no restraining order. Gate came down that day. Small victory, but I knew Shirley wasn't done. Emergency HOA meeting. She tried to pass special fees for legal defense, declare me a threat, rewrite the bylaws to ban me. Ed stood up and asked if board members could be held personally liable. Room went quiet. Some of her allies looked at their shoes. Her measures mostly failed. For the first time, her grip slipped. Then Julie Murphy came forward, another family who'd been forced out. She offered to testify. Now we had a pattern, same playbook, same results, same winner, Kyle Cooper's company. We were close, but we needed a slip-up, a confession. So I sent Shirley a letter, suggested we meet, settle it like adults. Asked her to bring Kyle. When she agreed, I was half terrified she'd bring backup, play it safe. Evelyn said, "This is it. Make it count." They showed up at the lake. Shirley sharp as ever, Kyle smirking, $50 check in hand. "Sign the deed and it all goes away," he said. "They told me I couldn't win. The community would never accept me. I'd be ruined either way." I asked if they'd targeted Willow Lake from the start. Shirley admitted it. They broke the Whitmores, tried to break me, always won in the end. That's when I raised my hand. Ed stepped from the trees, camera rolling. Evelyn appeared from the cabin. Reporter from the local paper approached with her recorder. Shirley's face fell. I told her I'd recorded every word. "Everything you said is going to the court. The DA, the press." Evelyn confirmed it. Shirley tried to silence Kyle, but it was too late. They left fast, faster than they'd come. Maya Patel's article ran 2 days later. HOA president caught on tape, extortion threats, and a decade of abuse. The story spread like wildfire. DA opened a formal investigation. All the documents, testimony patterns, finally someone listened. HOA meeting crowded like never before. Shirley tried to defend herself, claimed the tapes were fake. But the vote wasn't close. She was out. Her vice president resigned too. The courts ruled the easement stood. Shirley paid $75,000 for defamation. Kyle's company owed $150,000 and faced business sanctions. The HOA paid my legal fees. People asked why they didn't appeal. Simple, didn't want more attention with criminal charges looming. Shirley pleaded out 18 months probation, community service restraining order. Kyle was barred from real estate, paid a hefty fine. The untouchables were finished. Scott Anderson, the vice president, finally showed up with documents, proof of years of altered records, votes, money funneled away. Others came forward, told their stories. The ripples spread. And me, I finished the cabin. Smaller than I dreamed, but perfect. Hung my dad's name over the door. Ran the first summer camp for kids who'd never seen a lake. Watched them learn to fish, laugh, dream a little bigger. Ed came by, told stories by the fire, made the law sound like something worth knowing. Julie Murphy returned, helped run the camp, started a group to hold HOAs accountable. The state legislature even looked at changing the laws. Maybe finally people would have a way to fight back. Last night of camp, a kid named David caught his first fish, said he'd catch a bigger one next year. I believed him. And for the first time since I made that promise at my parents' graves, I felt peace. Now I want to ask you, have you ever watched someone truly powerful finally face consequences? Not just embarrassment, but the real lasting kind. Do you think justice is about rules, or about refusing to let people like Shirley decide what's real? Tell me, what would you have done in my place? Or maybe have you ever stood up when no one else did? Share your story below. Someone out there needs to hear it.